Greetings, all. It's Dr. Bankhead, The Struggle in Thinking Out Loud. And I'm doing a series now on the governmental system. One thing I'd like to note, in the United States, they refer to it as corporate America. Have you ever wondered why? Well, consider this. Most of the cities and towns and states in the United States are corporations. That's right, they're corporations. And corporations and the government are protected. But the citizens, the individuals, our rights, we are not considered to be sovereigns. The government is sovereign, but the citizens are not, unless they file extensive paperwork to be approved by the government to be recognized as a sovereign. So, corporate America, corporate towns, corporate cities, and corporate states have protections that the citizens can only desire and wish for. The government also has different agencies, and the different agencies have different mandates. And as citizens, we learned in civics class that these agencies are for our welfare and well-being and health. They protect us. Yes. So look at the different agencies, for example. Let's look at the Food and Drug Administration, for example. Isn't it interesting that the individuals who are usually put as the head of that agency are individuals that come or have a background with corporations that create drugs? And many of the drugs, prescription drugs, are created in laboratories with petrochemicals or GMO corn. Look it up if you don't believe me. I don't know about you, but petrochemicals do not belong in my body. They are inedible. And the GMO corn has been traced to causing tumors and cancers in the body. Look it up. And then there are the other agencies as well. But let's talk about the beliefs that we have that our government is controlling the things that they're controlling in the interest of the citizens. Let's take, for example, Department of Treasury. The Department of Treasury is the arm that we believe controls the money. But the money is actually belongs to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is not, NOT, an official arm of the United States government. I'm sure you've heard this before. The Federal Reserve is the central banking system of the United States. It was created on December 23rd, 1913, with the enactment of the Federal Reserve Act. And you will recall when I mentioned the legislative arm of the government that I said they make the laws and they pass the laws, and the government and the president signs them into law. So the act was an act of Congress, and it was signed into law, thus making the Federal Reserve System the central bank for the United States, and they are in control of the bills. The $1 bill to the $100 bill all belong to the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve lends their bills to the government, and the government has to pay for borrowing the bills from the Federal Reserve. And this is how we have a deficit. Or at least it's partially why we have a deficit. And while I'm talking about deficits and monies, let me also talk about budgets. Governments all have budgets. The federal government has a budget. The municipal governments have a budget. The school system has a budget. Everybody has a budget. And the main budget is called the general fund. And the general fund is where all of the dollars that they collect go. For example, the tax dollars. If tax dollars are being sent to the municipal government, they get so much money, and the money that they collect goes into the general budget. It all goes into the general budget. And from the general budget, all the other budgets are funded. Yes. Let me give you the big picture. You have the general budget, let's say, argumentatively, for the purpose of this explanation, that the general budget is $200,000. But I have 10 different places to put that budget. I have the recreation budget, I have the travel budget, etc., etc. Well, those other budgets get funded, and then the general budget is depleted, and thus they have a deficit, and they raise taxes, etc., etc. That's how it works. Anyway, this is Dr. Bankhead at the Struggle in Thinking Out Loud, talking about the government, and I'll be back for another episode. See you in the next video.